Hey, here we are, back,
Hello.
as promised.
Yes. Well, I've got.
So I had a... Go on.
No, I was just going to observe the shadow in case the viewing several think that I'm not aware that there's a microphone shadow on my neck, making me look a bit haunted. But
Oh, yeah.
but I do know it's there. I'm not bad at this. I just can't fix it
As long as we're clear that you're not bad at this.
because I'm bad at this. Yeah. You carry on. You carry on.
I was going to say, having watched So Haunt Me, SE1 EP2 the other day, the original aim for this was for you and I to watch every episode of The Upper Hand,
Yeah.
the 90s ITV Monday night, 8:30 classic. I say classic, sitcom. I wouldn't use the word classic to describe it. And having watched the first episode of So Haunt Me, I'm now thinking we need to see this through to the bitter end.
Okay.
However, how do you feel about doing 2 So Haunt Me's?
Yes.
Then
So haunt
them. Then a random, something like Next of Kin, Noel's House Party, who knows?
Next of Kin.
And then Next of Kin. Then 2 more So Haunt Me's, because there's 6 per series. Then another random, then wrap up the final 2 of the series of So Haunt Me.
Yeah.
And then we'll call that series 1 of whatever this podcast is going to be called.
Absolutely.
I'm working on the assumption that no one in the world ever, apart from us, is going to watch this.
Yes. I think that's a solid assumption. I share it.
We don't need to be on brand. We don't need to be witty.
Brandless.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anti-brand.
I'm up for that.
Well, Naomi Klein's seminal sociology and economics book, No Logo.
Yeah, I was thinking Russell Brand's book, My Bookie Book.
Don't think about that book.
My Bookie
In my
Book.
presence. Oh, God.
I would love to read My Bookie Book now. Not that I read it then.
No,
I've never read it. But I would,
I had a copy of it from a charity shop.
Bet you did.
Because I buy comedians' memoirs. Can we call My Bookie Book a memoir? Comedians' books.
Bookie Books.
But I never got around to it. I was just like, because it's when he's in that era with the really high back hair.
Yeah.
Probably
that was his glory year.
Yeah, his glory year. Yeah, when he did the Big Fat Quiz of the Year with Noel Fielding, and it was fantastic. And then it all came crumbling down because he's become an insane person. And perhaps always was.
On that note.
On brand for us, rambling about something that actually turns out to be quite tragic and sad.
We were literally talking on brand about brand.
Brand on brand.
Yeah.
Small B, big B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, let's do it. Come on.
Do you want to start? We're starting.
This.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here we go. SE1 EP2 of So Haunt Me.
Yeah. And let's assume that if anyone does watch this, us, let's never sort of pander to people who are jumping in halfway through. Let's do lots of callbacks and jokes that will mean nothing unless you've watched every single minute of every single one of these.
Okay, that seems fair.
Let's reward lunatics.
Okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
Let's go. Oh, hang on. I'll just start again because I think we lost a little bit of the first line. Right, silence.
Here we go.
For the last time,
not silence.
There are no such things as ghosts, especially not Jewish ones.
No, Pete. Especially not called Jetta Feldman.
Especially not called Jetta Feldman. Good night, Sally.
Good night, Pete.
Good night, Sally.
Good night, Mrs. Feldman.
She just sounds like a really sort of 1980s camp man. Night, Sally. Like, she's not got a northern accent. I don't know why I put that on.
This theme tune has really stuck with me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've remembered it.
I completely forgot about it.
It was Paula Mendelssohn at the end, not Paul A. That's some really bad typography, isn't it?
Terrible. It's actually
Tessa.
George Cost I Gan. It's 3 Cost I Gan, 3 separate words. Mm-hmm. Do we need to recap what happened last episode? No, because we know that they've watched it.
World. Sally, there's a positive, rational explanation for what happened last night.
Pete, your son and I both saw her.
Mass hysteria. Old houses, sailboat vibrations from the past.
He's got that same
People pick
Bowie
them up.
t-shirt on.
That's like viruses.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I might be coming down with something myself.
Oh, no, not the hypochondria.
If you get some pills, I might not be a hypochondriac.
Now, come on, we've got to lick our new home into shape.
Blah. And listen, no more...
Did he say hypochondriac?
She's at a very sensitive age.
I don't know. Hypochondriac.
Yeah.
I'll get some trousers on and I shall start unpacking the debris.
Which is it,
off my
act or
life.
act?
Watch it.
I don't think it's a T on the end. I might be wrong.
No, I'm not. Those only get those dirty.
I should know. I am one.
Yeah. I didn't know how to spell hypocrite the other day, which I should know because I am one.
Virus in the wardrobe.
Has it got an E on it or not?
Sally.
Here she is.
I hope you slept well.
Big
So,
entrance.
Mrs. Feldman, you?
Like a dead person.
Pete, she's
What?
here. Mrs. Feldman.
She's doing one of her celebrated bedspread impressions.
You still can't see or hear her.
No, Sally, it's funny that, isn't it?
Thank you for re-establishing that,
Where's Mr.
Sally.
Bed? Oh, I think it's quite sexy.
What?
Pneumonia? That's not so sexy.
Oh, Sally, you're just overstretched. The people who can help, my little electrician.
Pete, I think you should...
Sally, if it was Errol Flynn prancing around in his unmentionables, it wouldn't bring the colour back to my cheeks.
Oh, Mrs. Feldman.
Oh, that's it. The
That's
joke's
pretty
over.
gross.
I'm going to the garden. I'm going to commune with living things.
Tell him to dress warmly, could catch his death.
Dress warmly, you could catch your death.
I've lost my
They've
job.
made the house a bit nicer already, haven't they?
Yeah, they've been doing some work since the
He's
last
always so rude
episode.
in the mornings.
Only when you... Mrs. Feldman, we would appreciate a little privacy.
Sally, you only have to ask.
What is
You
that
know,
mug
Sally-
you've got?
My daughter Carol would be about your age now.
Are you talking about my face or the cup?
The cup. The mug. It's a
Good,
mug.
isn't it?
What?
It's
Oh, the
beautiful.
original-
Drive her away so many years ago.
Oodle-alley,
Well,
oodle-alley.
so
Golly, what a
difficult
day.
to live with.
Well,
Oh. Ghost
that's my
phone,
mother.
perhaps?
I know her ring.
Every daughter ought to have a mother. Pick it up.
What?
Tell her I'm looking after you.
What's Betty doing in the garden?
Oh, look at the size of that variety
I
pack.
know.
That is hard evidence of shrinkflation,
Absolutely.
if ever it were needed.
Finally, this is what this podcast is designed for.
All of you, just to give me zip.
We'll probably find a, what is it, salt and vinegar
My bedroom.
in green.
David, ghosts
No,
don't tell
in blue.
stories, they're in them. Well, mine does, and she always a lot. She walks a lot. Always. Oi, oi, oi. David,
Are these really the two best kids they could get for this? I say kids, one's old.
Clearly
I'm
22.
not making it up. You appearing, Bubla?
Oh, look, that's a WCW figure, I think.
Is it? Who is it? This is
I
something
don't
I know
know.
nothing about.
Might have been wrong there.
That
The
waistcoat and
WWF
collar.
figures, the WWF figures could move and did little moves. The WCW ones were rigid.
Place a
Oh.
fella like you could really defend
Good
the
to know.
death. Now listen anyway. Don't laugh. But your mistress thinks we're haunted.
See, this would be perfect moment for him to speak to camera.
Semi.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring this up
agree
over and
with
over
that.
again because I think it would make the world of difference to this sitcom.
Yeah.
I'm scared to fix that window.
Did you sleep well?
He could do like, see?
Oh,
Wake you.
has he got his own ghost? Oh,
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh,
Have you heard
the plot
the news?
thickens.
There's been a hurricane.
And that plot is a
Yeah,
grave.
In the Caribbean.
Caribbean today, Willesden tomorrow. I hope you're settling in. I'm Herbert Bloom.
Peter Rugby, this is Hemingway. How are you?
Arthritic, hypertensive, and a martyr to flatulence. Still mustn't grumble. Hey, Mrs. Gold?
although my bowels do.
Who are you talking to?
Oh, my friend. Every time I lose a friend, I plant something. I've a lovely garden, Mr. Rokeby, but sadly, not so many friends. Oh, by
God,
the
that's
way,
terrible.
They found a rat as big as a dog at number 42.
Steady, boy. So,
My neighbour saw a rat the other day that she thought was a muntjac.
Mr. and Mrs.
Oh my
Smith.
God. I can
Yeah.
imagine that.
Together.
Is that because it was so massive?
And that's Mr.
Yeah.
Rubin's
No, she's just a really bad judge of
Animals.
animals. Yeah.
Oh, there's a swan over there. No, that's a dolphin.
Everything.
Why have you got a
He-
dolphin? What?
This old guy is dressed like a train driver from Thomas the Tank Engine.
Yeah, he is.
Did I know yet a
And he knows it.
Who didn't?
He loves it.
Hope, perhaps. Even then.
And she used
He is
to live round here.
spookily like, not him, the train driver.
She still does, Mr. Roseby.
Spookily like a guy who came round my house the other day to possibly put some shelves up behind me for sharps.
Oh, yeah. Sharps.
That wall, you see that wall behind me?
Yeah, I see it.
No, but I think my wife.
How much do you think
might
they quoted me to just line bookshelves along that?
Oh, well, obviously too much. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be remarkable. But if I guess, I'll probably go wildly over the top.
Go on, go.
$2,000.
5,700.
That is a surprise.
Yeah, and it was on offer. It was 10,700 without the summer sale.
Yes, I bet
Good
that.
Lord, what were the shells made out of?
I know. Money.
Pure gold. Yeah, pure money. They just take your money, pack it into some plastic, and then put them up as shells.
I declined the offer.
Were you polite, or did you go,
You two had a row?
frick
Oh,
off?
well, I was so embarrassed. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, great, I'll think about that. And I
Yeah.
just haven't called them back.
Yeah.
So that you won't feel out of it at school.
Ajax! You don't see that anymore.
No?
Grandma is about to descend.
In that
Wow,
weird
I'm
tin.
impressed. Which grandpa is she bringing today?
Now that's not fair. She only marries them one at a time. So far.
So we're going to meet Grandma this episode.
Things are as stubborn as you are.
Will she and Mrs. Feldman get on?
Hey,
Will they be
Ooh.
roughly the same age, but of different generations?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, well, we've been worrying about that too. Tell me, freelance advertising writers are in great demand. You'll see.
and can we sell this orifice and move back home? We can't leave Mrs. Feldman, Mummy.
Don't you worry about.
Come on, mate, give it some. You're on telly.
Serious, let's start to move dead people.
It's not good enough.
It isn't, you're absolutely right.
Found these in the garden.
Who's buried there?
Oh, Pete, they're lovely.
That's pathetic.
Can't stop, Mummy.
I mean, that is like a 3-year-old bringing that in.
Yeah, exactly. It's like 4 daisies.
You'd be slightly disappointed if a 3-year-old had brought that in. But like, is that the best you could do?
Yeah. You're probably better off leaving them where they were.
Where did you get to?
I met our new old neighbour. Sally, I think we've got to talk about.
He's a ghost, isn't he? Not him, the neighbour.
The train driver.
Or, yeah, there's something there.
Sally. is your
Or he's
husband
old
doing
enough
what
to
I
have
think
known
he's
her.
doing?
Mrs.
Yeah.
Feldman.
Shh! Why do you think I'm whispering?
Cooking bacon in a Jewish house.
It's not a Jewish house.
You want to kill me?
Oh, sorry, I forgot.
Do you want to kill me? That, again, raises really interesting
Well, Mrs.
metaphysical
Feldman didn't have any.
questions
Yeah.
about what's going on.
Where is she?
Hello?
But she's worried about her soul and bacon affecting it.
Yeah, even though she's already dead.
Yeah.
Well, I'm prepared to admit there might be a little one.
So I'm not.
David, would you go and tidy your room?
Are you going to tell me another story, Mrs. Feldman?
Oi, I could bite lumps out of him.
Whoa.
An expression.
What are these stories? The little tin solicitor, Snow White and the 7 dermatologists?
Pete, David likes.
What?
I didn't get that. Have we talked over something really...
Yeah.
Hans Jewish
really
Anderson.
important.
I don't keep turning this flaming cooker off. Right. I need 5 minutes quality thinking time and then we act. And stop rubbing that lamp. We don't need a genie as well.
Such anger.
What is that lamp?
Sally.
It looks like an
want me to
Oscar.
teach you how to make
Yeah.
your love kiss?
That kid's getting nowhere near a real
I was
one, is
going
he?
to say, yeah.
Be like your own dear mother.
Wow.
That's...
And I wrote, ha ha ha, Elizabeth laughs at gun disease. Thank you. And I wonder if you remember, darling, I could kiss you. You bought Telfer's toilet tissue. Thank you.
How can
I
you
like
play your
that.
greatest hits?
Fine.
I've got my mother coming round any minute.
It's the best way I know to relax, apart from,
So many sex jokes in this.
Yeah.
Sally, she's got to go.
My mother?
That's a nice thought, but no. The mummy from beyond the grave. She's brainwashing my son. She watches me in my underpants.
So you accept she exists?
It's growing on me, like shingles. I want her out of here pronto. Call Dial-a-Hearse.
I always thought shingles sounded like a really spooky disease.
Woman.
Like,
Lonely.
like having the shivers. That's what it is.
Jewish gentleman ghost. Sally, she's like everything else around this mausoleum, something we've got to get fixed.
When did you last fix anything? Hang on, I'll get my spirit level. That was rather good.
Sally, call her up or summon her down. I want you to talk to her.
Pete, can't we do it later? Mummy's coming and... Oh,
At what point would you have turned this off if you were watching it at home?
This episode, as we're watching it now?
Yeah. A long time ago?
Yeah, I think I probably would have stopped at the kids at the table.
The only thing that would have kept you watching was how bad it was.
Even the black notes.
Well, I mean, that is a good description of what we're doing.
So soon, you only just got here.
I want you out of here as soon as inhumanly possible. Don't bother to pack.
What, you throw a poor old deceased lady out of her own home?
Yes, I would.
Oh, so he can hear her now.
Who said that?
I did. Cooey! Over here, mister with the loud voice.
I heard that too. I can hear her. Sally, I can hear Mrs. Feldman. This is incredible.
That's because you believe in her, Pete.
Yeah, I do. I believe. And I believe she should bloody well go back where she came from.
It's not a very sensitive thing to say, is it?
Limbo?
You'd be so happy. Yes, you'd be scared, but you'd be so divinely joyous that there was proof of an afterlife. Speaking to her, wouldn't you? Be like, oh my God, it's real!
Yeah.
I just declared that a ghost-free area.
But we also need to do that investigation into
Certainly not, Mrs. Feldman.
I just wouldn't want my daughter to be haunted by
what beliefs in ghosts or afterlives there are in Judaism.
I did have a quick little look on Reddit.
Oh, ideal. A place of great trustworthy information.
Wisdom. And the gist of it's this, right?
My poor Sam had
Go
a
on.
heart attack in this room.
I think they believe in a spirit, but they don't believe in ghosts doing this.
No.
Like coming back and spooking you and being visible and whatever. They believe in, obviously, in some sort of spiritual realm.
Yeah.
But it's not the same as like your classic ghost.
Yeah, it's not a haunting.
That's what I learned from 20 seconds of Reddit.
Great, perfect. That's all we need to know to speak on this subject publicly and with authority.
If only Paula Mendelssohn had spent 20 seconds looking at Reddit as well.
None of this makes any sense.
Sally.
Pete.
Not a word. She doesn't exist.
Did I tell you about my Carol's lovely teeth?
Pete is fading.
Goodbye, Mrs. Feldman. Have a nice trip.
How does he think I'm going? British Airways? Goodbye, Sally. Goodbye, home.
Pete, she's gone. You've got rid of her.
End of series.
End of series, done.
It's for the best, Sal. And I'll explain to David later. Hey, do you think this will work on your mum?
Oh.
Okay, here comes that.
I'm the master of the universe. Are you going to play me, Mrs. Feldman? Sorry. Auntie Etta.
I used to be really jealous of kids' bedrooms on BBC sitcoms.
Yeah.
I just used to wish I had a nice bedroom.
Yeah.
Wait till she sees the sphincter we're living in.
Everything was so clean because it's just been bought.
Yeah.
Not covered in all the shit I drew all over the walls.
Yeah. I was going to say the trappings.
The trappings of childhood bedrooms.
Where's my doing DIY with make you brandy? Mummy will be here any minute. Go dust something.
Well, might as well start with myself.
Oh, I'd like to.
Oh, I'd dust myself all over the sofa.
Well, not to me. Anyway, she's Mrs. Anstruther now.
Go and dust one off.
No, dust one off in the corner. I'm very disturbed by the fact that she calls her mother Mummy.
Sound like Mrs. Feldman. Of blessed memory.
Yeah, there's no need for that, is there?
No.
What we did.
But I think it's a class indicator.
Have we got time to play carpenters and housewives? I'll get me pinny.
Do you mean an indicator of class or a really good indicator?
It's a class indicator of class.
that is a class
Absolute
indicator.
classic indicator of class. Oh, I thought the dog was like a fox.
And you don't mention Mrs. Feldman.
Why not?
Yeah.
Mother-in-law, welcome to Rokeby Hall.
Hello, Peter. Sally.
Here we go. Here's big
Here
posh
we
mum.
go. Yeah,
Are you
yeah.
bearing up?
Darling.
Oh, darling. I've always looked down on your husband, darling.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, goodness. How can someone as young as me have grandchildren as big as you? Kiss, kiss.
It's, George. Yes, I knew that. We met at the wedding. Come in, please. Oh, thank you.
Grandma, we've got a goat.
Goat! But he's the goat's minders today. Aye. Good old Billy.
I see you've still got your other animal.
Hemingway, oh, he's like one of the family.
Not one on our side.
Why don't we go into the lounge, then we can have a
There you
good
go.
old
There's a bit of good old-fashioned eugenics creeping in.
Watch out for rats the size of dogs.
goat. The living room. Of course, there's still a lot to be done to it. I think I'd
You just went from saying "don't mention Mrs. Feldman" to immediately saying "we've got a ghost" to facilitate him shouting "goat."
Well,
So this kid is stupid and a poor actor. The character's stupid and the actor is bad. I wonder what they're doing now. Maybe they're Orlando Bloom or something.
All of them.
All of them are now Orlando Bloom.
I'm just bumpy.
And that old woman became Orlando Bloom.
It's the cast of Lord of the Rings.
for your support, Tammy.
I think a little Dutch courage first. Sally, what is
It's actually driving me mad who this guy is. I can't think where I've seen him.
The dad.
You lost your
Yeah.
job.
What else has he done?
I don't know. I'll have to. Do you want me to look it up?
She says that he's
Not now.
just bought a
No.
villa in Gran Canaria with a swimming
Not now.
pool and
Not now, darling. Not
Shame he's
now.
not allowed back to England to visit her.
not too much tonic in that, thank you, Peter. You'll drown the gin.
George?
He's driving, aren't you, George?
Mum, can we go upstairs? We're bored out of
I'll
us.
call you for tea.
Do you reckon they didn't pay him enough to speak?
Yeah, they didn't have the money for an extra that day, or a
They'd
speaking
spent,
part.
they'd spent it all on bedroom furniture for the boy.
Yeah.
Said, bad taste is timeless. What a shame you had to come here in the first place, sir.
I think it's rather sweet.
He does this to provoke
Look
me.
how wonky that frame is. Oh, here we go. There's a reason.
Yep.
What's going on?
Well, quite obviously, it hasn't been hung up properly.
Even reproductions. Oh, this is infuriating.
Oh, darling!
I
I didn't raise you. I didn't raise you to live in a house with wonky frames.
I didn't get drunk every day of your childhood and fornicate with the neighbours so that you could have a wonky picture in an old, horrible, haunted house.
That's massive, and most people would give anything to live in.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Which is always way too big because it's a television
You'll never
set.
go on a Caribbean cruise, Sally. You'd get so much out of it.
Oh, I'll take her to the boating lake and chuck her a bounty bar.
That's the ship. It was Swedish, wasn't it, George?
Norwegian.
It's the same thing. Well, you're very argumentative these days.
You got a line.
And, oh, that's the first class.
Norwegian?
Do you see that thing? That's a sculpture made entirely from ice. Now, what do you think of that?
I'm afraid it leaves me cold.
And we've got some more here, and that's just one of George. Ah, here's something wearing my new bikini. It caused quite a stir, I can tell you. I see a little cause for mirth, Sally.
I haven't seen so much red meat since my nephew Brian's bar mitzvah.
I didn't even realise she'd come back in.
What, Mrs. Feldman?
Yeah, Felds.
If you don't want to see them, you
Felly
ain't have to
babes.
say.
No, I do. I'm sorry, Mummy.
I'm not warming to this person, Sally.
This isn't happening.
Where was I?
Gazing wistfully at the Virgin Islands.
Oh, yes, we met that girl in your class. Davina, the one who made such a good marriage to a stockbroker.
You're letting her get away with this? The woman's a monster.
No, we need such a nice class of people on board. Of course, there is a bit of a rough element.
Really, actually,
Loud
very similar
Jewish
to you.
families from New York.
Who is?
She said she's a monster, yeah. But that's what,
Oh, I
exactly what
see.
Mrs. Feldman's been like.
Yes.
Not to you. Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about you talking to me. That's a bit like you. And then I was like, what?
Yeah.
Mummy, come and see the rest of the house.
Mum, look what I...
Well, it's two competing matriarchs, isn't it?
I thought you'd got
And the
the
stereotype about Jewish mothers is being outdone by the stereotypes about
Talking to?
Mrs. Feldman.
wasp
She's a...
posh ladies.
Do you reckon George can see it?
That's Henry?
Where he's... Oh, yes. I don't think you can see even the actual living people in the room. He seems to be so unestablished as a character.
Yes. Yes. No, up a tidy your room. Go on.
I bet he said to the director, "Can I have a pipe?"
Yeah, I feel like I'd have a pipe.
You know, I had an imaginary friend once. She was called Lucinda. She was always 6 years old. How old is this Mrs. Fellman?
64?
Tell the world.
64?
Do you think that's healthy?
I thought she was about 90.
I'll go.
Well, 64 in the 80s was what we would think of as 90 now.
But it
This
seems
is
to be under
92.
control.
Oh, 92 then. Which is how old I thought Mrs. Feldman was.
Are you up to your old tricks again?
Oh,
Herbert Bloom.
You look well, considering. Oh, excuse me, it was very rude of me to barge in like this, but I haven't seen her for a while, have I?
Sally,
I've got a fly in here. It's really annoying me. It keeps landing on my leg.
If you call that.
I'm wearing shorts just to add.
well, yeah, you can really
Yeah.
feel it then.
But why is he
Is it
talking
disturbing
to
any
David's
hairs on your legs?
imaginary
That's the worst
It
bit.
is. I can just feel it walking on my leg.
Walking. Little boots on. I'm off.
George, now stop causing mischief.
I really think we should be running along, Sally. I think you're being very brave about everything. Come along, George.
For someone who's picked her up on everything,
Yeah.
why wouldn't she then pick her up on being a lunatic?
Not long
Yeah.
enough.
George! Did you scream, dear? Must you go?
Well, it's so nice meeting you, Mr.
So he's real.
Patchy fog near Aberdeen. It could spread.
Come along, George.
It's somewhere between a train spotter and a savant.
Sally,
No, that is a
I
Morrissey
want you to
song.
know that there's always room
There's something about you, like a train driver and a
You've disappointed my
savant.
life ever since I met Pete. For some
How do you
dark
rhyme
reason, it
savant?
mattered to me. Do you know, I
What
think
would
I've
he
suffered
go
very
for?
hard. I don't
I
care.
want.
Pete never gets on
Yeah,
my
yeah.
nature of work. I'll
You're
still
not
love
the
him.
thing that I think that I have, but you're the thing that I think that I want.
He'd still be my Mr. Right.
So?
And a savant.
Slime, and I'd still take
I think
I want a savant.
I think you have.
I want a
Good
savant.
luck. Come along,
You just haven't heard it yet, baby. That's a really niche. That's a Smith's B-side.
Great.
Oh, it's an interest of mine. Don't worry. Stum. Provided you let me come across and talk to her occasionally.
Anytime you want, George.
She doesn't go out much.
George!
She means well, you know. I'm very proud of you.
I had a little help from my friends. Yet,
So Mrs. Feldman is the mother that she never had.
Yeah,
That's what's
it.
happening here.
Drove her out, my own daughter, with her pop singer, her Elvis Parsley. When I saw your mother today, Sally, the way she talked about your husband, I mean, he's no bargain, but you seem to love him. I saw myself, Sally, and it made me so angry inside. Forgive me.
This is the first day I've enjoyed since I lost my job.
So maybe you don't want to get rid of me?
Does he have a choice?
Not until we find my daughter Carol with an E. Then I can rest in peace.
There's
Okay.
just one thing, Mrs.
Right, we finally established what the hell is going on here.
Problems there, Sally? That I can't
Only
help
took
you with.
nearly 2 episodes.
You're the problem. We can't. Thinking you might be there.
I'm not great with an audience. A few close
Yeah,
friends,
I
maybe.
can confirm that.
I promise no bedroom.
Or Lou.
That was on
Sally, do me a
the call out
favour.
for people to audition.
Remind me, how's your problem?
It comes and goes.
You still see Arnold Gold?
He's got cataracts. Both his eyes.
With a wife like his, maybe that's a blessing. There's so much. We haven't even started on bankruptcies yet. Go make yourself a cup of tea.
They have bees in South America that can kill with a single sting.
I'll close the windows.
Estelle Greenblood. She's still got a wooden leg?
How'd you get rid
What
of
would be
Granny?
the alternative?
Just say
No, it's made of
Please
steel
say
now.
just one more time that we have got a ghost. I'm leaving this bedpan for good.
I don't
Now
remember
it's a
Coke
bedpan.
looking like that.
We've got a...
Been an orifice in this episode as well. Oh, that was it.
Oh,
That was the big ending.
we were so engrossed.
Only has one foot in the grave, but he thinks his house is haunted
Aw.
in a moment.
Look, there's Paul A.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it was Paul A. Sorry, not Paula. God.
Oh. Richard
Richard
Wilson.
Wilson. Well, he's busy doing One Foot in the Grave
so
in a minute.
he's right. Maybe he developed this with somebody and was like, we'll put it on before 1 Foot because we know people will be getting ready to watch that.
They'll have 1 foot in 1 foot.
Yeah, and 1 Foot in Haunted House. Oh God, episode 3 started.
Right, stop.
Right.
Oh, it's like a reverse Waltons. It starts every episode with this little bit with them in bed.
Yeah,
Whereas
it's been so long since I've seen the Waltons. I used to really try.
I said that assuming you know what I meant.
Absolutely no idea. They do like good night, boo boo, good
That's
night,
it, yeah,
baby, good night, doodah.
At the end of every episode, and it'd be like a sort of a summation, like a little gag of probably funnier than what we've just seen.
Absolutely.
On what had happened in the episode. I love the Waltons. Do you know? When I was younger, I hated it.
It
used to make me feel sick. It used to remind me of mashed potato and steamed windows. It used to just horrible memories of it. It's not the program's fault. It's just when it used to be on Sunday lunchtime.
Yeah, and you'd be having a roast,
boiling spuds or whatever. Yeah, no, not roast. We couldn't afford a roast, so it'd be mash and sausage or whatever.
Yeah,
but steamed windows on a Sunday, gross. However, as I've got older, and it used to always be on like those random like channel 412 on Sky.
I've never come across it. The only time I've ever come across it was when it was on. It was the first thing that wasn't a kids program, intentionally on Channel 4 on a Sunday or a Saturday,
10 past 12 or whatever.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. If you ever get the chance to watch it, it is brilliant.
We should do an episode of the Waltons.
Oh my God, I'd love to. The thing is, I wouldn't want to say anything bad about it.
That's my job then.
Yeah, you can absolutely rinse it.
I'll just be like, well, that's the mythology around American white femininity for you. And you'll be like, no.
There's an episode, you'll love this, where one of the girls is having her period and for the first time.
Yeah.
And there's a poltergeist. It sets off poltergeist.
What?
Act. I know, it's unbelievable. Yeah.
Okay, I'm into that. That's like a mini version of Carrie, but in the American Old West. Am I getting that right? Is it Old West kind of frontier America?
Oh yeah, sort of. Yeah, it's Depression era. It's 20s and 30s.
Oh right,
yeah.
I thought it was much older than that. What am I mixing up with? Little House on the Prairie.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So I don't know.
The Waltons is it's based. The guy who wrote it, well, he didn't write it, but created it. It's called Earl Hammer or something like that. And it was based on his childhood. But honestly, every episode's standalone. They're like little Hallmark movies, but good. And they're 50 minutes or an hour, and they're so, most of the time, they're brilliant. Sometimes they're boring. But the episodes are nearly always the same. There's always a new person coming through the village who's a salesman and charms everyone and ends up stealing Grandpa's Civil War medals or whatever. That's usually and then they learn oh wow, look at it. God, it's good. The guy in the dungarees, the granddad, is like some sort of famous rebellious communist or something.
Oh.
Someone once. I've never looked into that, but someone told me that once. He's like some sort of legend.
So
Ralph
Senior?
Ralph Waite. No, his father-in-law. So Grandpa Walton, Google that. Is this recording?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we can cut this bit, but Will Gear.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that pig. And look at Grandma. I remember her now.
There we go. He was blacklisted in the 1950s by Hollywood after refusing to name persons who joined the Communist Party.
Legend.
Yeah,
also
interesting chat.
Oh, right. Oh, Woody Guthrie. Well, that would make sense.
From what I've seen of the Waltons in recent years...
Yes.
With the exception of that poltergeist thing, it's quite morally sound. That's my memory of it. It's
by modern standards.
It's like really righteous in a nice way. It isn't as preachy as I think its reputation is.
Right.
Actually, it's got a little bit more edge to it than that.
Oh, nice.
But there's a good episode where the teacher at the little school that just has all the year groups in one little room in that sort of wooden schoolhouse. She teaches them about evolution.
Nice.
And it kicks off this big sort of debate and whatever. It's honestly,
wow.
It's really good.
God, that really white screen has really washed me out now. There we go.
Okay. Anyway, So Haunt Me, what did you think, episode 2?
Episode 2, we've learned a bit about what's going on. We've now established that there is a conflict in that can be resolved, that can be aimed to be resolved, in the fact that Carol with an E might be found, and then she can rest in peace, her daughter.
I wonder what they do, because I'm assuming this wasn't such a strong pilot episode that the BBC said, right, you've got 3 series.
Yeah,
I imagine
absolutely.
they said you've got 1 series. So I wonder if it wraps itself up, series 1, episode 6.
Oh, I see, and then it comes back.
And they desperately have to rewrite it, and then the daughter's ghost comes back and says, oh, I need to find my son, or whatever, and they have to do series 2.
Oh, wow, so it's a generation per series.
Yeah, possibly. I'm just riffing here.
I know, it's great.
What could happen with
I could
So
believe all
Haunt
of
Me.
it. Yeah, I mean, it's now becoming in my head. I've been watching a lot of not even true crime stuff, like ITV crime shows,
fake crime,
fake made up crime, and police procedurals.
That's a genre that isn't getting enough love at the moment, is it?
Fake crime. Oh my God, I'm so into fake crime stories. Do you mean like crime?
Do you mean
genre?
You mean murder? You mean Murder She Wrote? Yeah. Just
fake crime. Love it. So it's immediately turned into a series where there's like police dogs out looking for Carol, and they've got like one of those big boards with all different types of evidence, and so they can try and track her down. She died in 1973 and she was here, and then before that, but then her body was never found, and then it turns into a big elaborate kind of police procedural.
Balls up.
Yeah, big old, oh no, balls that up. Oh, my balls are up at the moment because of all the DIY. There was a joke about him getting randy when she does DIY.
Yeah, that's a good callback.
Thanks. I actually paid attention to some of the show.
I honestly, it is baffling, because I bet that was a really expensive program to make. I know it doesn't look it, but all sitcoms are expensive, aren't they?
Yeah. And if they don't,
big outlay.
Yeah, and they don't. They're thought of as something that is valuable to national identity and to broadcasting, but yeah, unless you get into late years where you start selling off concepts, then they definitely lose money every time.
Yeah, so I just wonder how it got past this, how it got this far.
With the concept of it and the quality of it.
Everything.
Yeah.
So we said it last time, but that's the scariest thing about this program.
Yeah.
It's not the ghost.
It's not the ghost. It's not the
scariest
haunting.
And the funniest thing. Yeah, the scariest and funniest thing is that it got that far.
I guess, I mean, I'm just thinking of that time period and, you know, what you would be doing on a Sunday with the telly on. You've got 4 channels.
You're up against Heartbeat. I reckon they're up against
maybe, yeah. I mean,
this is the heart.
Other than the first episode of them moving in, there haven't been any exterior shots, which are much more expensive. I wonder if they just run it on fumes for the rest of the series and it gets enough ratings, or they acknowledge that they're competing with Heartbeat, and therefore maybe we should get a guest on the show, the commissioner who decided this needed to go to series 2 and then series 3.
Yes, imagine doing a podcast where you
chase down commissioners and you're just like, what was that
bring
about?
Them to trial. Yeah. So how did this get 3 series?
I understand
of my money.
Different time period. You know, you're thinking about scheduling in a different way. You're not thinking about acquisition so much. Can you provide us any contextual rationale for this being made into 3 series?
I bet it was a lot of favours.
You think so?
I
actually,
think
if it's got Richard Wilson involved, then it's got.
That's not going to be Richard Wilson, is it?
No,
I was joking.
Oh.
Well, I doubt it. Wasn't it like he was location manager or something?
I don't know. Shall I try and find out?
Let's find out what Richard Wilson was doing. If that's the Richard Wilson, let's see what his role was. If he's moonlighting
with spirits, but we do have one foot in the grave in a few moments here on BBC One.
Paul A. Mendelsohn. Oh, we missed him.
No, he's coming. This is what I mean. He's so far down on the thing.
Well, that might mean he's director.
There he is.
Oh,
he's resource coordinator.
A famous matching job with actor on beloved National Treasure sitcom.
That's where all the money went.
Yeah.
They're paying him an absolute fortune.
Yeah, he just took all the resources for himself.
That puppy for the telephone.
Yeah, I describe that to people when they haven't heard of that before and had but it obviously just is useless because nothing's funnier than Richard Wilson picking up that puppy. I feel like it's the new Del Boy falling through the bar.
It's the new. It's about 2 years afterwards.
Yeah, but I feel like boomers have Del Boy falling through the bar. Millennials, we're all about Richard Wilson picking up the puppy. And Zoomers are going to be too abstract to even register as popularity.
Millennials, it's Gavin and Stacey or something, isn't it? I saw someone on Twitter the other day talking about modern, he was ranking the best modern comedies, and he used that phrase. And it was things like The Office, I'm Alan Partridge, Gavin and Stacey. It's like, they are not modern.
Against what? Laurel and Hardy?
I know. The Office is really old. It's 23 years old.
Yeah.
That is like when The Office was out, doing a list of modern comedies, and it's got Fawlty Towers in it and Porridge.
Totally. Yeah.
It's really weird that people, we're sort of trapped in thinking that's modern. I do really feel for this generation in that they have not had I have a big thing about everyone having to watch certain channels because there weren't very many channels. And that sort of created those big beasts of sitcoms.
Yeah.
And yes, loads of them are rubbish, evidence staring us in the face
Present
right now.
Company included.
Yeah. But it did make those big moments. Everyone says, "Oh, did you watch that last night?" In a way that is beyond comparison. There's nothing that compares. And I thought when Gavin and Stacey, I'm never a massive Gavin and Stacey fan, but that Christmas special that was on about 4 years ago, the viewing figures for that were astonishing. They were something like 17 million. And it just shows.
Yeah.
And that includes me, who never really watched it. I thought, I'm going to watch that. It just shows there's such an appetite for it. There's still such a huge appetite for big comedy.
But is it nostalgia over a thing that has already existed and got people behind it? Regardless, it doesn't really matter, does it? Because it's still got the audience that it got. So whether it's nostalgia, because sitcoms are always a little bit nostalgic. If it's a fairly traditional one, it's just like a family in a house and a northern man is baffled by what's going on. Lee Mack. And it just feels sort of comfy. And, it's the domesticity of it all. But you mentioned Porridge. I was reviewing a book for the BFI on Porridge, which is a really cool little series of BFI television classics, and that was one of them.
I know those books.
Yeah, it's nice. They're only little, which is why I reviewed it, because it didn't take very long to read. And but there's a really good bit in it where they're talking about the writers going into Wormwood Scrubs to do research and to kind of observe the culture of a prison and that kind of thing. And apparently they were walking outside with one of the guards, and a paper aeroplane came out of one of the windows, and they opened it up and it said, "Being held against will, call police." Nice. And it was the funniest bit in the whole sort of book of funny things happening, and also other things. But yeah, I would recommend that.
Do you know Ronnie Barker? Peter Kay wrote a letter to him before he was Peter Kay. When he was just sort of up and coming young comedian or whatever. And Ronnie Barker wrote to him as his Porridge character.
Oh, really?
In the Slade prison headed paper.
That's brilliant.
And so on. Fletch, that was it. I had a brain freeze then, his character.
Yeah, I was like, Dexter Fletcher.
Yeah.
Imagine Porridge with Dexter Fletcher as Fletch. That would be pretty similar. Just a bit younger and more piratey. I've just watched Stardust again, and he's a pirate in that. Dexter Fletcher.
Is this the Stardust that's filmed in Norwich?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, that's Elm Hill. And Dave looked up from his phone, and I was like, it's gone already. Because it's really not in it very much. But there's quite a bit around the cathedral. I think that's such a solid film. I really do.
Never seen it.
It's very funny. It's genuinely very funny. It's got an incredible cast, which must have cost a fortune. And they're all really good in the characters that they're cast in. Robert De Niro is the main pirate on the ship that Dexter Fletcher, his second mate on. Ricky Gervais is in it.
It's written by Jonathan Ross's wife, isn't it?
Oh, Oh, that makes sense. It's very, very
she's
funny.
Got something to do with it.
Yeah, it's got Sienna Miller in it in really a very small part for that time period, and it's filmed in Norwich. And yeah,
what more could you want?
What more could you want? A shot of the cathedral archways. You've got it.
We should explain that we're in Norfolk.
Yeah, all the people that are
going to watch this
who don't know us.
Yeah,
who have stumbled across this because
all the traffic flowing through.
Yeah, the thousands and thousands.
For So Haunt Me commentary.
Yeah,
will want to know that we're in Norfolk. You're in Norwich, and I'm on the coast.
Yes, which is why we're doing this over the internet instead of side by side. Because it's a half an hour trip between the two of us.
And isn't it working a treat?
Perfect. Yeah.
Right, should we knock it on the head?
All right, then.
Oh, hang on. So we've done 2.
We've done 2.
So according to the plan.
Oh, now we've got to do something else.
Yeah, so let's decide here and now what we should watch next time. Okay. I'm really excited by the Waltons as a concept. I'm not sure if we can find one. And like I said, I'm not sure if I want to have a go at it. But let's see if we can find one. But maybe something like Next of Kin. Yeah. Maybe we should build up to a big Waltons finale.
Yeah, the last episode of the Waltons. I bet that's
I don't want to watch that.
No.
I am genuinely, I actually bought a box set of series 3 of it.
Did you?
Yeah, I'm working my way through it. When it was on Sky, I was working my way through it methodically, like 5 episodes a year. Every now and then I'd feel like, I don't know, if I like feeling anxious or just miserable or whatever, Waltons was my little, not placebo, what's the word? Pick me up.
Pick me up. Your tiramisu.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Oh, that's very sweet.
Anyway, so I don't want to see
ITV crime dramas are my pick me up. They're my tiramisu.
Well, let's do Next of Kin then.
All right then. Okay.
Tiramisu and 2 for tea.
Oh yeah.
Does that work? Yeah.
No. Not really. But yeah, what should we do? First episode or a random one?
I don't know.
How do we choose?
A deep cut.
A deep cut.
Maybe we should do the first because it sets up the premise.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, cool. Yeah. Let's do the first one. We can always return to it in a future series of this unnamed podcast.
Yes. Brill. All right, I'll see you then.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers, bruv.